my name is Caroline Sykes. I'm from the Business Engagement Innovation Services within the University of Nottingham. More specifically, I'm in the Technology Transfer Office. And within the TTO, we manage the IP and the technologies that are being developed within the university, look how best we can protect them, how we can commercialise them, and how we can either license, collaborate with companies, or form new startup companies. And my portfolio is mainly the healthcare technologies within the university. But before I go into some of the technologies, I'll just give you a bit of a brief background to Nottingham. So it was founded in 1881 and it's ranked 7th in the UK for the research power. We've had 2 Nobel Prize winners since 2003, a significant number of students, both international, national and postgraduate students, and about 5,000 staff. As you can tell, we've got 500 million turnover for new research awards and of turnover, and new research awards in the year 2009-2010 was around about 160 million. So we've got a significant amount of research. We're very active in this area. And the University of Nottingham was the first university to receive the Times Higher Entrepreneurial University of the Year award back in 2008. So we've got quite a nice history for both research, but also for translating that research into commercial and health benefits. One of the other things that university prides itself on is its interactions with industry, collaborating with industry, both from the studentship side to more strategic partnerships. And here's just a few of the examples of some of the larger companies that we work with. It's important to say as well that we don't just concentrate on these large corporations. We also look at how we can collaborate with small, medium enterprises, SMEs, and also startup companies. Often startup companies in particular don't necessarily have the financial support in order to do some of the groundbreaking research, and that's where hopefully the university can benefit and collaborate with the companies. We see a number of benefits to companies collaborating with the university. Basically, innovation, ideas and talent hopefully equals competitive advantages for the companies. And some of the benefits is that they get to access to novel IP, leveraged R&D income, staff development, and also HR pipeline through our students. But it's not a one-way thing. There's a number of universities also benefits to the university. It increases our income, it provides new research opportunities, graduate employment, risk sharing, and also for the Research Excellence framework, it provides paybacks. When I mentioned earlier, we're not looking at these big, massive partnering opportunities with major corporates. We're also looking at consultancy, short-term KTPs, long-term sort of collaborative research. So there's a number of ways that we look at engaging with industry. And what I would say, if that you feel that there's some benefit and there's some expertise within the university that you feel that the company could benefit from collaborating with, then Business Engagement Innovation Services is probably the best way into the university to identify who and how those relationships can be fostered. So I guess really coming onto the technology transfer side of things, within TTO we look at commercialising technologies in one of 2 ways: the startup companies, spin-out companies, and this is the portfolio of the spin-out companies that have come out of the University of Nottingham in the last 10 years. Some of these are more relevant than others. So NGD is Nottingham Gynecological Devices, very much looking at developing gynecological devices, as the name suggests. Monica, they came out of a collaboration between the healthcare and the medical school and engineering faculty, and they've developed a fetal heart rate monitor. So for ladies who are towards the end of a high-risk pregnancy, their device enables the pregnancy and the baby to be monitored 24 hours a day without having all your wires and everything, and all the information is then downloaded and the doctors can determine whether the baby is at risk or whether the baby needs delivery in early. We also look at how we can best license technologies. So we've licensed again a number of technologies. This here is one of the Nottingham biological devices, and this here is the Monica device, both of which have been licensed into spin-out companies. The top one licenses MRI. So MRI was developed at Nottingham several years ago, and in fact is one of our Nobel Prize winners, Sir Peter Mansfield. But since then, we've also had significant number of licensed technologies to small and to large corporations. And I guess this leads us nicely onto technologies that we're looking for collaborators on from today. So I'm just going to run through a number of technologies that we've got that we're looking either very early stage or some are further developed, that we're looking for partners for and also collaborating technologies. So novel bioresorbable materials. This has come out of our engineering faculty, and they've developed resorbable biocompatible composites. And primarily they've been looking at developing these as alternatives to metal plates, metal screws, metal pins within the body. The problem often with metal pins in fractures is that a significant amount of them have to be removed because either they get infected, or for paediatric patients, the bones grow and the metal pins don't, so they have to be removed. And this can cause quite a lot of pain and also discomfort to the patients. And from the NHS side of things, can cause a significant amount of cost there. So what they've developed are these composites, which have mechanical properties comparable to bone. And they're looking in particular at fracture fixation devices. And at the moment, they've done in vivo and in vitro work is ongoing to demonstrate that they work and they are acceptable as alternatives. And here, there's the pictures and demonstrate of how the plates would work for pins. It's also important to say that the actual material they're using as well, although the actual application at the moment is looking very much at bone fixation, there's also there's a significant number of other uses that these biomaterials could be used for medical device implantations and things like that. Second one, apologies, this is perhaps a little nasty pictures just after lunch. Second one is around amniotic membrane, which is basically the membrane that grows around the baby when the baby's in the mother's womb. And normally when the baby is born, the membrane gets disposed of this waste material. And what researchers at the University of Nottingham and other researchers worldwide have determined that the amniotic membrane actually has quite a lot of clinical use, mainly in wound healing, but also potentially in the ophthalmic area. But the amniotic membrane that's used at the moment is very much, it varies very much from patient to patient. The actual method of preparation is also quite crude, and so you may get a brilliant membrane one day and not a particularly great membrane the next day. So what Nottingham have developed is a novel patented method to reduce variation between the membrane, and in particular they're focusing on the development in the ophthalmic use. And so the idea is that the membrane can be used, I guess, as a bandage to be put on the eye primarily for chemical burns, heat burns, and also for certain ophthalmological diseases. But they also identify that they could potentially be used for more nasty skin burns and for the general wound healing market as well. So at the moment they've demonstrated it, they're just going into animal trials for the amniotic membrane, and we're looking to identify partners in order to take this to the market as well. Not directly a medical device, but it's important when you're looking at medical technologies and also from the healthcare side of things, and it's around cell imaging. Sorry. And the cell imaging side of things, in particular confocal microscope. So when you're looking at cell imaging, often what's required is to be able to add a drug or add a media to see how the cells react. And what happens with the normal pumps that are used to add these drugs to the system is that you get a pressure change and the image comes in and out of focus. And what we've developed within Nottingham is a way of adding the media, adding the drugs without a change in pressure, and therefore the cells very much stay in focus. And this is great, sort of being able to do this for drug development, sort of from the pharma and also from biotech side of things. Some of the areas that that goes on in research is around novel materials as well, so novel polymers. So some of our researchers in the School of Pharmacy have identified a new class of polymers that are resistant to bacterial attachment. These can be used as a coating on existing devices. And what they've seen so far is that materials could lead to significant reduction in hospital infections and also medical devices. So at the moment they've got the polymers and they're looking at how best they can apply this. Is there any particular devices that this polymer could be used for? A device that's actually been used in a small clinical trial is around the use of the treatment of amblyopia, basically lazy eye. So at the moment the treatment for children with lazy eye is that what used to be done is they used to be patched for so many hours a day, which is a long-term treatment, often with children that they don't get great compliancy, and also they can't treat both eyes at once if they've got lazy eye in both eyes. And so what they've developed is this computer system which enables to treat both eyes simultaneously, and it basically promotes stereo vision. And lasting improvements are seen within just a few sessions. So this has actually been tested in QMC, Queen's Medical Centre, and in a small number of patients. And again, we're looking at a company who can potentially take this device to market and get it adopted in for clinical use. Another potential antimicrobial technology is around catheters. The compounds are impregnated into a matrix of silicon devices, and we've got long-term activity at point of need. And we've demonstrated that it reduces or prevents infection for up to 6 months for indwelling devices such as catheters. We've already licensed this technology in a number of fields, but we're still looking at potential licensees in fields that we haven't already got the license in place for. Again, another technology in the imaging side of things is the use of RAMA to detect basal cell carcinoma in tissue samples. So if at the moment you get diagnosed with BCC, you go into surgery, the surgeon will remove the tumour, the cancer, he'll hopefully remove the cancer. Patient will then go, the sample will be sent to pathology to determine if all the cancerous cells have been removed. If they haven't, then the patient will have to go back to surgery, remove some more skin until they've got all the cells, all cancerous cells removed. So it can be quite costly and also quite stressful for the patient, increased surgical time, increased theatre time. And what our guys have been able to do is to use Raman spectra to detect BCC in minutes rather than in days. So it avoids the patient having to go back for surgery and for follow-up treatment. And what you can hopefully see from these images here is these are immunohistochemistry, and this is the Raman, so you can see where you've got very good correlation between the cancerous cells and the normal cells. Coming on to a number of the gynecological devices that one of our consultant or one of our clinicians has developed. This is a laparoscopic assistant. Enable the laparoscopies to be undertaken by one surgeon or one clinician rather than several, which is what happens to be done at the moment. So it enables the clinician to manipulate the uterus and inject the dye using both their hands rather than having to have a nurse or somebody else to inject the dye. And again, the benefit for this is that it's reduction in medical personnel. The safe cervical dilator. So if you're looking at dilating the cervix, there's potential risk of a uterine perforation because the dilator would be inserted too far and it would come out the other end of the uterine. And this enables you to actually set the width and the length of the dilator, so it's a much safer way of being able to perform the procedure. And the final laparoscopic gynecological device is the combined laparoscopic grasper and suction irrigation. And again, it's a combination. It combines what currently is two devices into one, which enables one surgeon to undertake the procedure rather than having to have the extra pair of hands. So it's quicker and safer laparoscopic surgery. Oops. And then the final one, which is a heart-like device, which has been developed again in collaboration with some of our clinicians and our engineering guys. And this is a light-based reflection mode heart rate monitor optimized for newborn baby resuscitation. So 10% of newborn babies require resuscitation. You can imagine you've got a newborn baby, often quite premature, trying to then determine whether their heart rate and their breathing rate with little tiny squiggly baby. It can be quite complex. Excuse me. And they've developed just one sensor, which enables to go onto the baby's forehead. And so it leaves the rest of the baby's body free and space to be able for the surgeons or paediatricians to actually carry out what's necessary to hopefully resuscitate the baby, whilst continuously monitoring the heart rate as well. This so far has been done in preclinical trials, have completed on 200 babies, and we're looking at how we can best commercialise this hopefully through a collaboration of an existing company. So hopefully you'll have seen through my presentation that we've got a very broad range of technologies being developed within the University of Nottingham. And they're also at varying stages of development. Some are at early concept, some have been quite significant clinical trials. 200 patients have been trialled for the heart rate, for example. And also there's a number of ways and initiatives available for the university to collaborate with industry, with startups, with corporate organisations. And Nottingham is keen to develop partnerships through studentships, through consultancy, or through more corporate partnering. So, and if you have any questions or if you're any further interest in the technologies, then my contact details are there, and please contact me, and I'm happy to discuss any of them further. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Interested in your strategy of offering people the technology and asking the company to come along and develop it for you. How well does that work in your experience?
It depends on the stage of development that we're already at, to be honest. I think, like most universities, a lot of our technologies are early stage. There are a number of government funding available now to help us take them past the concept to more to the development stage and through early clinical trials. And at that point, we find partnering and collaborating with companies very successful. It's the early stage stuff that we do struggle with. But things like the MRC Development Pathway Funding Scheme, Department of Health funding has enabled us to sort of take the technologies that bit further to where companies are interested in partnering with us.
Okay. And just to get some idea, if we take one of those laparoscopic tool-based type ideas, roughly what's involved for a company to come along? I mean, what's going to cost them in terms of bringing something like that to market? Well,
I think for most of the laparoscopic ones, we've already got initial prototypes developed. We haven't had the clinical trials, although these have all been invented by a clinician, a consultant. So that's the first kind of port of getting it into the clinic. What we lack within the university is a way to market and to distribute these technologies, especially the laparoscopic devices. And so that's, I guess, what we would be looking for in an established commercial partner.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, yes, question at the front.
Following on really from the last question, do you have any criteria that you apply to decide whether to license the technology to another company or to focus on whether to develop your own spin-out company?
It very much depends on a number of factors. It depends on the inventors. At the end of the day, most of the inventors are academic researchers, and they're not interested in forming their own startup company. And without them on board, a startup company won't be that successful because they've got the scientific know-how. So if there's no interest from the academic side of things, then we would very much look at licensing out. If it's a disruptive technology or if it's a platform technology, then we potentially would look at forming a spin-out company because it's not going to be just a one-product company. There's a number of different areas. And also often the academics and the inventors that have come up with the idea, there's often a lot of pipeline IP being developed within their labs. And if they're in the same market and same market sector, then, and we feel that they could all go into one spin-out company, again, it wouldn't be a one product company. And again, we would potentially be looking at a spin-out company. Those are kind of the factors we would look at and consider.